Hey guys, welcome. Musky Road Rules Podcast, episode number 281. I think it's 281. I really wish I could count because, well, I really don't know how many of these things we've done. We'll say 281 tonight. Thanks for listening. Thanks for telling a friend. You can find us on all the podcast outlets. Of course, if you're listening to this, you've already found us. So tell your goddamn friends, all right? We need more friends. More people need to listen. That would be wonderful. You can hear great people on here, like the two guests I got today. One of them is actually pretty nice. The other one, he's a dick. So I'll let you decide which one that is. Tonight's podcast is brought to you by Musky Mayhem Tackle. Guys, if you don't know who Musky Mayhem Tackle is, you're probably living under a rock, or you're just starting musky fishing, or you just really don't want to go out and catch anything. Musky Mayhem Tackle, the maker of the original Cowgirl, big bladed spinner, inline bucktail. They've also got, I don't even know all the baits that they make. I probably should. They got the Showgirl, they got the Silly Girl, they got the Supergirl, they got the Supermodel, they got the Detonator, they got the Trigger, they got the Psycho Spinner, they've got the Hurricane, they've got the Grenade, they've got something else, I'm sure. But guys, check them out. Been making baits for a long time, around since 2005, coming up close to 20 years. Oh, God, I'm old. Check them out, muskymayhemtackle.com. Single Girl, that's another one. And the Electric Bunny, they got a lot of stuff there. Check them out. All names of 70s porn stars is pretty much, just think of that, and you'll have the names of most of the baits. So make sure you check that out. Also, if you think of another name for a bait, you can always text me on our text line, 606-776-6729. 606-776-6729. Shoot us a text. It's the Lunge and Lures text line. Lunge and Lures, they make a ton of different stuff, too. A lot of cool crankbaits. They make the 22 short, 22 long, 22 SS, the big old 50 cal, the chubby. They make Alley Cat series of lures. They got the LP and the original Alley Cat, or the Stray Cat that they're making. Also the Rattlin' Shad. You can check them out with their spinners as well, the DC9, DC10, and the Nutbuster spinner baits. Check them out at lungeandlures.com. Guys, we're going to start off the podcast tonight on a little somber note. I'm not sure how many people out here actually knew the guy, but we lost a fellow musky fisherman and a guy in the musky world this week. Really good guy, Tony Spicker. I honestly didn't know that he was sick. I'd heard that he wasn't well, but didn't know the severity of it. Tony was a good guy. For you guys that may not know Tony, he's the one that actually made the big game baits. Him and his partner back when they started. So the big game series of bait, balsa wood series, twitch bait. I think Tony was actually on the podcast a couple times back in the early days there. From northern Indiana, fished the Webster chain a lot. Kind of fished all over. Did a lot of stuff on St. Clair. Made a really cool bait. Sold it, and then started Brotherhood Baits. And Tony was a good guy. Passed away pretty young, 57 years old this last weekend of cancer, and kind of a shitty deal. Just wanted to mention him out there. Tony was a good dude, and I'm sure a lot of people on here have fished some of the baits he made and be thinking about his family and stuff as they deal with this. But good guy. Some of the guys on here, I'm sure. Brad, did you know Tony?
Yeah, I knew Tony very well. Great friend. Great guy all the way around. He spent a whole summer up here with me one year, basically working on some of the big game stuff, and we did a bunch of R&D work together. And so, yeah, Tony was a great friend.
Yeah, no, he was a good guy. Ryan, did you know him at all?
So I didn't know Tony personally. I kind of knew of him and knew people that knew him, and honestly have never heard anything but great stuff, and loved his baits. That 12-inch big game, that was the first big crankbait I really casted, I guess, and had some really good results. So
yeah, I remember.
Yeah, it's too bad.
I remember Tony up on St. Clair. One time I was up there, years ago. I was with Don Chin, the angry Asian. and we're up there going out, and he helped us back in one night because I was coming out. It was the night Don got all drunk and started singing "New York, New York" to a 20-year-old waitress who really had never heard the version from a Asian before. It was quite awful. But Don, we're going out, and my steering control broke in my one of my old Crestliners, and I had to drive it back in. Tony pulled us, and I had to steer it by actually holding on to the motor and hugging it and turning it because the wheel wouldn't turn it no more. And Don did nothing. So it was it was pretty tough.
He probably slept. Greg.
Yeah, he probably what's going on? Well, I'm still back here, hugging a giant motor, trying to turn it, and that's the night we fixed it in one of the many nights. And this right here is a little secret from Uncle Greg. There's a few secrets out there when you travel as much as I do. One, if you got to do number 2, always do it in a hotel lobby bathroom. They're always the cleanest, and they're the most private. Never do it in a gas station. Stop at a hotel. Easiest way in the world. They're never going to ask you. They're never going to question you. They're always clean. And little tip there. 2, if you ever have to work on your motor or anything in your boat at night and you're traveling, always do it in a car wash. No one washes their car at night. They're always well lit. You can pull the whole truck and boat in there. And that night we put a new steering cable on my boat in a car wash. One of the many things I've done in car washes. But that is a little tip there that I think everyone needs to know. But, again, Tony Spicker, great dude. It's pretty sad to see him go. But, so be thinking about him. But if you can't tell by the voices I have on here tonight, I have the CEO of Musky Mayhem Tackle, part of the CEO, Brad Hoppe. Carrie's not on here because she still hates me. And Ryan McMahon from down on the Twin Cities Musky Guide Service. Guys, how's it going?
Not too bad.
Oh, sorry, Ryan. Go ahead.
I think you guys should just talk over each other the whole time. That's that's personally what I hope happens.
We'll each do a Minnesota nice pause and let the other guy go, kind of like what we do at stop signs at four-way stops in Minnesota.
Yes.
And then
Brad,
you both go at the same time.
Brad.
Yeah.
Does your wife still hate me?
I'm guessing she probably does, Greg.
Okay, good.
I think you were on track there.
Oh, good. I'm glad to keep consistency. Ryan, does your wife hate me?
I'm pretty sure she does, yeah.
Nice.
There was one time you were in the car, you were overserved. You overserved yourself. And, you were trying to talk to her, and she's like, man, he's pretty obnoxious. I'm like, yeah, that's just Greg. He's actually in a really good mood.
I'm charming.
No, she didn't say charming, but she didn't say obnoxious. I forget what she said.
Oh, well,
let's just assume she said weird.
Oh, well, I can handle weird.
You've heard that one before.
I've heard that one before. Yeah, Brad's wife really doesn't like me, and it makes me laugh. Ryan, I'm going to explain this to you there. I mean, would your wife not like me if I took my shirt off at a hibachi grill and traded it with the waitress, and then in my drunken stupor paid for 42 people at a hibachi?
I'm not sure. I mean,
and I bought a shirt.
You might have smoothed things over by paying for dinner, I guess.
Yeah,
bit, but
yeah.
I mean,
I don't even remember the night, so I guess there's.
It was the hugs that were the problem at the end of all of that, Greg.
I was hugging.
Hugs.
Well, you were trying to hug her, and there was a lot of stuff going on there.
I don't remember any of it. So, in my case, in my defense, I wasn't sober, but I was topless. and which I think is
I don't think you knew this, Greg, but there was a whole group of Japanese guys behind us going, "Yeah, that's the guy over there." They were getting ready to throw you out, and then all of a sudden you whip out a credit card, and they're like, "Oh, this is the dude that's paying for all these people."
I've never been kicked out of a hibachi. Oh God!
Well, then they brought you a T-shirt.
Yeah,
and if I remember right, you were wearing it the next day at the show. So
Probably.
Where was this at? Which show is this?
I have no
Milwaukee.
idea. Oh
boy,
I don't know. Someplace cold. But that was. Oh my God! If they would have thrown me out, that would have been that would have been just another experience I've had with the Asian culture. Because right now, somebody has rented enough stuff on my Netflix queue is nothing but K-pop. I don't know what the hell happened. I guess somebody stayed at one of the cabins, and because I have my Netflix and stuff up there, and when I get on Netflix now, it's nothing but Korean. Shows all in Korean. I can't find everything. Literally everything I turn on Netflix is in Korean. Yeah, it's dumb. I've gotten really good at reading subtitles because that's how I have to watch Netflix now because I can't figure out how to turn it into English. So yeah, that's what I deal with. Anyway, I wish you guys would quit getting off track here. We need to talk about Minnesota opener coming up here. Brad, you're fishing up in the kind of the western area there. Ryan, are you going to fish any opener this weekend?
So actually, I'm going to be doing my last few days of smallmouth fishing in Hayward, Wisconsin area. So I have some musky rods packed in the boat. I got the same guy for like 4 days in a row, so we might do a little musky fishing there, but. I'm going to wait till the following week to do my Minnesota stuff.
Oh, okay. Well, then I don't know why the hell you're on here then.
Yeah, right. Right. Well, I think I'm only waiting till Monday, so,
I get it. All right. What about you, Bradley?
Yeah, I'll be on the water Saturday. I'm not exactly sure what lake I'm going to hit, but I'll tell you this, and Ryan can probably say this as well, based off of what he's been doing with smallmouth guiding, but we have more weeds than I've seen in many, many years for this time of the year. So it's going to kind of make some things a little bit different than normal. Kind of excited about it, honestly. Kind of reminds me, Greg, of if you remember way back, like 06, 07, when me and you were doing some fishing together and guiding together. Had some
when your wife would talk to me.
Yeah, when she still liked you. But if you remember right, I mean, Mille Lacs was prime at that time too, and for whatever reason, we just had some really nice, decent winters, and the weeds did not die off during the winter. So it kind of reminds me of those years. So I'm kind of looking forward to this. In those years, we did really well with big fish early, and so I'm excited.
Yeah. So what are well, let's talk about it then. Let's talk about something. I want to know what you guys are going to do when you first get out on the water. None of this bullshit. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to find green weeds. I'm going to do this. I want to know what you're really going to do. Okay. Same thing I told the guys last weekend for a Wisconsin opener. I don't want to hear Shallow Stain Lake and I'm going to go over there. Shut up. Tell me what you're really going to do. That's the thing. I want to learn. Is it, is it open water? Is it, are you going to live in the weeds? If you do go to the weeds, how are you going to fish them? So, Ryan, go.
Well, I got to throw this laminated card away that has all my stock answers. And
thank you.
No, I mean, you do feel, having had these conversations for many years, doing seminars and podcasts and whatever else, you feel like you got a pull cord on your back and you just give the same answers over and over again because it is a little bit of the same. But, in 15 years ago, like, when I started out guiding, I was really like, oh man, like I'm crappie fishing. I'm really like scouting weed beds and this and that. And like, truthfully, like the lakes that I'll start fishing in the cities, I will not have been on those lakes for like a month and a half by the time I get back to them next week. It's really, it's not that I'm, confident in, the old trusty spots, but I've just pretty much told myself, like, whatever you do, whatever kind of, if you have a warm year, a cool year, whatever I do, I'm going to start out fishing just a regular old weed line. And it's just a really good barometer to know what those fish are doing in the lakes. I mean, we had as little ice as you could possibly have, over the course of the winter. Super early ice out, unprecedented ice out. But really water temperature wise, we're pretty much like right where you would normally be, if not even like a little bit cooler than a lot of years. So, yeah, man, I don't know. I'm just going to hit weed lines and just musky fish, I guess, and then kind of take it from there, adjust from there.
All right, Brad, do you have any answer that isn't terrible?
Well, I'm going to be honest. It's like I said a little bit ago, I'm really excited about the weeds. I'm going to guess, this is just my prediction based off of what I've seen out on the water a little bit this spring. I've been out doing some bluegill stuff and whatever. With these weed beds and kind of where we are, I think 75% of the fish are going to be shallower versus the open water. So I'm going to start probably in that 8 to 10 foot range. And if I can, and those weeds are all the way out to that 18-foot mark, I will spend some time on those deeper breaks as well. If I'm not seeing it, if I'm struggling, guess what? I'm going to start looking at some of that open water. I think that the open water probably won't get really good until, I'd say, the second or third week of the season, actually.
Yeah. Why?
I just don't think that I think we're a little bit behind in some fashion and form. I'm not going to say that the fish, I believe the fish are done spawning because I've seen a couple muskies when I've been out where they're just on their own and they've been sitting in the shallower water. Now, we've had a bunch of rain here. Well, in the last 2 weeks, it's been crazy. I think the 1 week, 3 days, we had over 3 inches of rain up here. It dropped our water temps down. Like I said, I think the muskies are done spawning, but things have kind of like came to a halt, if you will. That typical normal warm-up that might push some of those fish out, it just hasn't happened. And the last 3-4 years, I've noticed that the open water fish really don't start going until about the second or third weekend. So I'm going to go off of that, and that's why I'm going to start shallower.
So what are water temps?
They're right around 60 up in my neck of the woods. I'm not sure what's going on in the cities.
Yeah.
So first off, yeah, to echo what Brad's saying, I have seen really good weeds, and you're kind of thinking like these lakes are going to be further along, and I've been really surprised that water temps have kind of just, I guess I shouldn't be because it hasn't been that warm, but it's just, I think with all the rain and wind and just kind of inconsistency with the weather, it's been really tough to string together, 2 or 3 nice days, let alone 24 hours of stable weather. It just seems like it stayed pretty mellow. I haven't been on the Metro waters in quite a while, but I heard they're like 65-ish maybe.
All right.
But
Hold on, Ryan. You keep that. Hold on 1 second. Hold on. Hey.
Greg, how we doing?
I'm good. We're actually recording right now. You stay on the line. I'm going to bring on the other guys.
Fantastic.
Okay. Are you driving? Hold on. Calling Ryan. Here. What is going on? Come on.
I switched away from speaker, so it should be a little better.
Yeah, that's way better. Oh, God.
Yeah.
Never speaker. Bluetooth is the devil. It causes cancer. Don't know. Stop it. Hold on.
Bluetooth is done.
All right. Hold. For whatever reason. Okay, done. All right, hold on. I might have to. Yeah, I'll call you back, David. It's all right. So, David, we're gonna call him. Guys, I just want to get this guy on here too because I think this is going to be really good what he has to say. David, you there?
You got me?
All right. Yep. I'm going to add here. I'm going to call Ryan back. because he was talking, and I'm sure he had something good to say. I'm going to call Ryan. Ryan, answer your phone. This is producing on the fly. I love it. All right. Yeah,
Hello.
I hung up on you. Sorry. Here, I'm going to bring you on with David Holmes from Thorn. So hold on, because he's going to be on here too. Here we go. Merge. We're merging. Okay, I hung up on Ryan. That's good. So
Now you got me.
Oh, yeah. So hold on. Let me get Ryan back here. I don't know what's going on. Why?
You got me. You got Ryan.
Oh, hi.
You got me too.
Oh, okay.
I think we're good.
Why didn't you
got
raise
Brad?
your hand when I said your name? Hold on. Let me get Brad on here. You two hooligans. Hold on. Here we go. We're getting Hoppe back on here. Producing on the fly.
I'm back.
Okay, good. I'm going to merge you in here with the other guys. So keep your fingers.
Oh yeah.
There you go. Who is that?
Who's who?
All right. So roll call. Hoppe,
I'm here.
Holmes,
Here.
McMahon.
This is Doug.
Shut up. There's no Doug. Are we good? Everybody here?
We're all here.
Here and ready.
Okay. David, you are you called me in here, and that's good. You're up. What area of Minnesota are you in, to let people know? This is David Holmes, no relation to John. He's not there in that stature. But where are you at?
Yeah, located basically Twin Cities area. Do most of my fishing on the Upper Mississippi and Upper St. Croix.
Okay. We were talking here. Ryan was talking about some of the stuff in the cities. What are the water temps there on the rivers and stuff that you're fishing?
Yeah, we've been kind of hovering in that 63 to 65, maybe 66 on a warmer day. I think the highest we had one day it jumped up to 68, but average day has been 64, 65.
Okay. And that's in river, so you're talking dirtier water.
Yeah, especially right now. We've been getting a lot of rain, thankfully. We needed it. So water's definitely up, super dirty. So it's holding a lot of heat, which is good.
Yeah.
But yeah, it hasn't started really warming up that much yet.
All right.
Well, cold nights still.
I talked to these guys. I already asked them, and I don't want no stupid, typical Musky Guide sports show answer about what you're going to do for the Minnesota opener. I want to know, what you're really going to do. I want to know, are you're going to start on the river, and is it a where are you finding these fish at?
Yeah, definitely on the river. And I think with how kind of early of a spring we have, it wasn't really as early as we thought it was going to be, but it's definitely, I think we're a little ahead of where we usually are right now. I'm kind of thinking they're going to be getting pretty close to those summer areas. They're not going to be in that heavy current yet. Definitely still going to be relating to sand and wood on the river, but I think they're going to be pretty bitey on opener. And I think it's going to be not quite as much the tiny little twitch bait stuff. I think we're going to kind of go right into ideally a little bit smaller swim baits, maybe some small bucktails. Probably top water right out of the gate with the water being dirty and high. So yeah, no, I think it's going to be a good one. And I think fish should be pretty fired up.
All right, good deal. I'm going to ask all three of you this question. Brad, raise your hand.
It's raised.
I'm starting with you. What are top three baits that you're going to be starting with for opener? If you're going to go out there in the boat, it's time to go. What are the top three baits? What are you reaching for?
Well, like I said earlier, I'm going to fish a lot of weeds, and that's been kind of the thing the last couple of years. The last two openers, I haven't done it, but the people in my boat have caught a 50-incher, so I'm kind of hoping we can keep that tradition going. And both of those fish came on a grenade, and we were basically swimming it really deep through the weeds and just kind of slow crawling it through there. So we're definitely going to have the grenade going. I will probably throw some sort of a rubber. It might be a tube or potentially a bulldog of some sort. I don't know which one. Probably not the quad dog, because I want to kind of slide it through those weeds a little bit more. Maybe a rag dog or a mag dog, probably.
And you're not ready for your body isn't ready for throwing the quad?
I'll tell you what, I threw it last fall. It works, but it definitely pulls quite hard for rubber bait. So, I don't know. My age, I'm not liking that as much as I once did, Greg. So, but I think it'll be a good bait after dark. I can say that. I mean, it's moving a ton of water, so it's cool. But it's not going to be my go-to. And then the third selection would be something that I used to do 20 years ago, and it's kind of weird and kind of fall away from some of this, but a really heavy spinner bait, like a safety pin style spinner bait, has always produced really good for me that first week of the season, and especially if those fish are buried in the weeds. Now, if we have to move to the open water, it's going to be a little bit different game, but that's my go-to to start off the season.
All right. Ryan?
Really a pretty similar attack as Brad. I mean, I think we're going to be essentially fishing the same areas of the lakes, just at a little different location. But, I've had some really good bucktail years the last couple of years and early bucktail years, which I hadn't had, or I couldn't say that for a number of years before that. So we're definitely going to have some bucktails going, like really that when I'm out on the weed edges, I like, like a junior size bait, or even like that trigger or something like that. Cause a lot of times you're trying to like vary speeds, and if I go like with a much smaller bucktail, I think the tendency is usually for it to get fished too fast. And if we're throwing those little bit bigger blades, we're throwing like a moderate pace, or we're letting them kind of get down in those weeds a little bit more. If we're getting a lot of follows, then that's kind of the cue to start speeding up and maybe start burning and stuff, and then try to entice some bites. But, and then some rubber. By the way, we call baits like the quad dog that pull really hard and are super heavy. In my boat, we call those front of the boat baits, because the old fat guy in the back of the boat doesn't like to rip them that much anymore. But
exactly.
But no, usually just some kind of moderately sized rubber, like like a regular Medusa or a Mag Dog or something like that. So, always go with the blades, rubber 1-2 punch, it seems like. And then a lot of times in the back, I like to follow up with like a Mag bar fighter or something like that. I know Greg loves hearing me talk about bar fighters.
I'm probably the best bar fighter worker, bar fighter and lure worker there is.
Well, up on Lake of the Woods, you just throw it out there and like give it a little tug, let it float to the surface, let it sit for 5 seconds. You don't have to do much.
Well, that'd be about right. My bar, the deepest I ever got one of those goddamn things to go is like 2 feet, and everybody's like, "These things get down so deep, they're so good." Well, no, they were not so good for me.
I remember when you came over, when you drove up in the fall and made me do a on the water.
I needed a tutorial. Yes.
Yeah,
and you worked at it, and I just got even more mad when I seen you working it. So
I don't think it wanted to go very deep when you were. It might be when you're looking. Maybe you're just making them nervous.
I think that's what it is. They're shy. They're pea shy.
Yeah,
that's exactly right. Anyway, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, for whatever reason, working the boat out of the back of the boat, those seem to be easier for me to work, and I get a really good result. Versus, back in the day, it was a lot more phantoms, gliders, usually phantom for me. But, I can still do it. It's just a lot of times I feel like I slow the boat down. The boat control slows way down. I got my tongue hanging out of my mouth. I'm concentrating, and I'm not, always, I guess the boat control maybe suffers a little bit when I snap on a glide bait, but you guys down south are probably really good at working those things. I'm just a little out of practice, but that's always a good June bait if you're fishing weeds,
Exactly.
in my opinion.
All right, David, please say something smart. Please.
I'm not known for that, but I don't know. In terms of baits, I guess for spring, I typically go for the smaller side of things. Not to say we're not going to have a giant wood bait or something ready in the boat, or a big swimming dog or something, but yeah, I typically aim for that. That 6 to 8 inch range seems to kind of be the ticket on the spring. So, your smaller versions of glide baits, whether it's like a 6-inch Phantom or something custom. And then if they're on wood a lot, I'm doing a lot of, and we've talked a lot about this, Greg, but slamming twitch baits or big square bills into that wood, and letting it just hang on the other side and kind of working it around it. That's always a big spring thing for us, especially on those little current breaks around those log jams and stuff. That seems to be a consistent pattern in the spring. And I don't know. We'll see it. With the water being higher, I don't think it's going to be a jig thing, but if there's some happy big post-spawn fish laid up on sand, I always have a jig ready on the boat to flip at them, and that usually works pretty well. So kind of a mix of everything out there.
Okay, now you're in the rivers there. Can you see? I mean, that water isn't too dirty that are you able to sight fish those?
It's probably going to be too dirty this opener. That's not to say we can't use some fancy screens and stuff to watch them eat a jig, but I know all the dirty stuff.
Go get them.
Yeah, no, it's definitely going to be too dirty this spring to actually sight fish them.
Yeah.
Which will probably lend better to the big twitch baits and hitting them against logs and stuff.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. So we got 3 guys, not all, similar baits, but still some different ones there. You think guys have gotten away from, I'll throw this out to the gallery, do you think guys have gotten away from the traditional old dive and rise baits? Those, I always like those in the spring. Your Suick stop and go, Wade's wobbler, those style baits. Do you think that's something people have gotten away from, or do you think they haven't been working? What's the consensus here?
Well, I said bar fighter.
Yeah, but I said ones that work.
Yeah, well, I guess I'll just clarify real quick, since I'm pretty sure Greg has amnesia and forgot that I mentioned that. But
no, I'm just you gracefully
refuse
forgetting
to accept that as an answer.
Well, because they just, I don't know. In my boat, they don't fight. There's no bars. It just sits there and looks at me.
They're pretty tame in your world. No, the ones that I like are the Magnum ones, which are actually not as big as they sound. They are the second from the smallest size. I like the double weighted mags in June, and I like them because they seem to swing more like a glide bait. So in all reality, they are swinging a little bit more, and you may have to, there's some, they're not all created equal, but they're not that real light, unweighted Suick or Bobby or something that's going to jack right back up to the surface, and you can kind of feel it around a big weed bed. So it's not that, and I have not really been throwing that kind of stuff in the past years. So anyways, there's a clarification, but
no, I totally agree. If I could actually catch one on that, I would probably like it too. It just seemed like Brad when years and years ago, you were a big Suick guy. You threw a lot of Suicks early. Is that something you just kind of gotten away from, or what?
No, actually, I was throwing one earlier this week down in Ohio. So
I was going to say, were you pike fishing in Minnesota? Were you doing early season? Boy, he's pike. Just love his Suicks.
No, I've never done that. It's not a big deal to me. But no, there's no doubt that a dive and rise is still a really good bait, and it's an effective way to catch, right? I will say that I probably don't use it in the month of June like I once did. It's kind of a go-to for me, late September going into October. That's when I really start using them again. But you just reminded me of a few bites that I had back in June years ago. I mean, I remember the first time Paul Schultz came with me, one of your clients that we shared, Greg, and I think he ended up with 5 or 6 fish that first 3 days of the season. It was incredible. So definitely something to think about, and I think it's one of those baits that kind of gets hidden in the back of the tackle box. I don't think they're just not using them like they once did. I think you're not wrong with that. Now, the bar fighter craze was a crazy craze, I would say. And
Brad,
there's a lot
were you a bar fighter? Did your bar fighter fight in the bars?
I've never owned a bar fighter, so
I had 3 or 4 of them. I don't know.
There was a lot of bar fighters that used to stay out on your property.
Yes,
true.
I'm surprised none got left out there.
Exactly. With Hammernick, I mean, he's probably the one to blame the most on that whole craze. I mean, he really did well with them, and I don't know. I mean, we make the Big Daddy. I haven't built them in years. I should, because they're an awesome dive and rise bait. The old Intimidators, those were another big giant.
Well, my biggest fish there on Miltona in June was a 53-inch fish on an orange and black suic. And I just, I always like
wobbler guy too.
Well, I love. Wade. Wade Whip, man. You look at him, you're saying that man wobbles, and so did his bait. The Wade's wobbler is old bait. Jesus, how long's that bait been made?
A lot.
40 years. I always loved them because the paint jobs look like something I could do.
The polka dots.
Oh God, they were great, and they had glitter. It was one of the first baits that had actual. Oh yeah, it looked like it had actual glitter, like out of a salt shaker. Just there we go, sparkles.
Christmas cookie glitter.
Exactly, and that's. It looked. I was like, I could make this, and this is something I could do, and so yeah, I loved it. Like I thought it was great. What about you, David? Do you ever throw the old dive and rise anymore?
Yeah, kind of piggybacking off of both Ryan and Brad.
Are you back on Bluetooth?
No, I'm not. Does it sound bad?
You sound like you're on Bluetooth. Bluetooth is the worst thing in the world. Get off of it.
I am purely on handset.
Oh, all right. Go ahead.
All right. I definitely tend to throw more like late September, early October timeframe. But I do throw them quite a bit in June too. But I definitely lean more towards like kind of the wider body, thicker style ones, like those Chaos Navins, however you say them.
Naval.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, if you really tune those right, they have a ton of side to side on them, and that kind of seems to be a big thing in the spring, especially with the dive and rises, getting that big tail kick or wander to it. I definitely don't love just kind of a straight straight moving dive and rise in the spring. I kind of wanted to give them that side profile and give them something easy to grab.
Sure.
But yeah, no, I definitely throw a ton of them.
Okay. And the other thing was, as you kind of said it, David, on the river, you're going to start with some topwater. I remember openers where the first fish in my boat was on a surface bait.
Absolutely.
And, I think some of that is, I think a lot of that comes down with temperature. Brad, you've seen that on Miltona and those western lakes over there. Surface baits can be good early. You don't think that's going to be something this year, or it just hasn't set up right?
I'm not going to say that. I definitely would agree with that. If you remember, I think it was the super humper that Luke Ronestrand came up with years ago.
He came up with it and was named after it.
Yeah. It was named after you, maybe.
Yeah. Yes.
The angleworm.
The angleworm. Oh, I like that one.
But you think about that bait. It had a big blade on there that was throwing a lot of water, but it had the subtlety of the rubber tail, and I think that kind of was a part of that whole thing too. So
kind of like me at an Oriental at a hibachi bar, the subtlety of a rubber tail. That was me. That's why I took my shirt off. That's what made it romantic. Well, the top. What kind of surface baits there, David? You said you're going to start out with some surf. What are you throwing? You throwing tail baits? You throwing walk the dog? You getting crazy and wobbling your hog or what?
Yeah, all of it. It depends a lot on the situation that we're using it in. If we have top waters on open or on the river in general, any time of year are always kind of perfect, just because, our deep spot throughout the year until October is, 5-6 feet deep.
Wear a life jacket.
Yeah, exactly. So, if they're on bare stuff, not a lot of structure around, I'm definitely reaching more for kind of the, flap tail, maybe a little like topper stopper, something pretty subtle. That's not making a crazy amount of noise. And if they're over weeds or in rocks, I'm definitely reaching for, tail bait, something pretty aggressive, Fat Bastard, Dr. Evil, Cannonball Jr., whatever it is. And then the hog wobbler, as long as you brought it up, if they're on log jams, those hog wobblers or whatever, the Nimmer swimmer, is that what it's called?
The polywog.
Those. You can put those things in the current next to a log jam and pretty much do nothing and just let the current kind of knock them around. And we've seen a lot of fish just like that bait is sitting there for 30 seconds and a fish comes unglued on it out of a log jam. So, definitely, kind of all types. I don't run a ton of walk the dogs. I probably should do more of them, but I get a little tired of watching fish miss those.
I get it. Yeah. Man. The, the surface baits and stuff, it's, you're talking the hog wobblers and stuff like that. It's harder for people to do. The one I want to bring up, though, is the flap tail. Why the hell has that gotten such popularity here in the last few years? Why do you guys think so, Brad?
Well, I can honestly say it's put a lot of big fish in my boat. The MK65 by Bomb Squad has been incredible. And when the fishing is tough, that thing still gets them to follow. It's kind of one of them baits that was used a ton up on Vermilion for quite a few years, and I don't think it really caught on in the rest of the state. And when Jeff first made that bait, I started experimenting with it, and it's just plain and simple. It gets fish to eat.
Okay. What about you, Ryan?
Well, yeah, I mean, you look at a flap tail, it's an old traditional style musky bait, and you've had some smaller bait builders making them and kind of some, I don't know if I'd call it like cult followings, but certainly, the Vermilion guys, Luke, guys are catching some big fish up there kind of quietly on them, no pun intended. And then, you see, Jeff's baits, the Bomb Squad baits come out. And to me, that kind of, it was like, okay, we took this whole, category of baits and now we like made it like a Minnesota bait. Like it's big, it's loud, it's obnoxious. It's,
the way your wife would describe me.
Precisely after about 13, 14 drinks at Spanky's. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, to me, that's a bait category that usually provides, like anywhere from 2 to like a dozen fish a year, maybe. And we've considerably used them more, since the Bomb Squad stuff has been out. So Leech Lake, those fish can really get angry at them on Leech. So, I don't know, but it's not like an essential tool in my boat right away. I guess like if we're talking June topwater, I find that most days in June we probably don't throw any topwater, but then usually like the calm, kind of juicy, overcast, humid days, maybe with some weather coming in, then we might have like everybody throwing topwater. So it's really kind of a situational deal in my boat. But yeah, usually the flat tails are getting tossed in like late August through first half of October.
Okay. What about you, David?
Yeah, it wasn't a bait that I had fished those Smitty flaps, the ones with the wire sticking out the front of them and no spreaders.
Why is that? Why did they come with their own leader? Nothing else comes with its own leader.
Keep the nose up, I think.
That might be it. I've tried many ways to like cut it off and rig a different line tie. They don't fish right. So yeah, it's real annoying having to actually retie every time you put one on. But I hadn't put a lot of work into like actual flap tails outside of those until last year, and started fishing the MK65 and the smaller version, which I'm forgetting what that one is called. But the smaller version especially, that was an incredible bait for us. And you know, kind of off of what Brad said, like they put big fish in the boat. Top water is something we're throwing, you know, from opener until, you know, early October, and those flap tails put bigger fish in the boat than any other top water for me last year. They didn't put more in the boat, but they definitely put the big ones in. So that was interesting. I did a fair amount of tinkering with them, putting little tiny blades on them, and you know they do some cool stuff. Definitely a big fan of them.
Now you said put little tiny blades on them. What are you talking about there?
Yeah, like either adding another little tiny Colorado blade to the big one. So even when it's not like kicking up and hitting the back of it, you're getting a little tiny bit of clack out of it.
So you're like drilling a hole in it and putting one, or are you putting it on the same split ring?
On the same split ring, but in the, you know, basically concave side meeting concave side. So both of them are trying to spin. Yeah. And they exactly spooning.
So spooning on, okay, now let's look at this. Big blade, little blade inside of big blade, or little blade outside of big blade?
Little blade inside of big blade. So you get the water flowing through the inside of the big blade, and it catches the little blade.
Like
so
all the Kama Sutra drawings I've seen, that's exactly how they do it.
Yep.
Okay,
yeah,
yes.
there's a few drawings of that one somewhere.
I feel safe. Yes.
Yep.
Kind of sounds like a Hollywood Kama Sutra thing.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, all right. So, and that would make a little extra ting.
Yeah, you almost
ting-tang?
get like a sputter out of it. Like it's not you can't really hear it that much, but it, you know, my one complaint with flap tails was I never loved like the inconsistent clank on them. I know that's kind of the whole thing with them. But I always wanted, you know, just a little more sputter on them. And that actually worked really, really well. And there were a couple fish that we got to move on one, and then I added that little blade, and they actually ate it after that. So that was cool.
Brad, do you think Carrie would like it if I had more sputter?
I don't know what you'd do to make her happy. Good luck with that. Maybe add that extra blade that he's talking about.
I could get more sputter. That's what I need, is more sputter.
One of the cool things, too, about the C4 that you were just talking about was that you can actually almost burn that on the surface. It's pretty crazy. And that rear blade turns into a prop versus the clanging that the typical bait would make. You know, it almost turns into just a prop bait, if you will, a quiet prop bait. I don't know if you've used that, David.
Yep. Yeah, I definitely have. And I saw the exact same thing. You know, that one's pretty versatile in terms of what speed you can fish it at, and it just does something slightly different at every speed, which I liked a lot. So yeah, it's a cool bait.
All right. Well, good deal. Well, I think we've really covered a lot of stuff tonight. I don't know if any of it makes any sense. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people out there, especially in the Minnesota area, that are going to be going out for opener this weekend. Is Paul having his tournament this weekend?
The weekend after.
Weekend after is the Metro tournament?
Yeah. Always the second Saturday of the season.
Oh, okay. And is it still, I mean, that thing's usually pretty big, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's an individual deal, so, you know, so there's no teams. There's usually, I want to say there's
no
like
I in team.
4. No. I think there's usually 450 people, something like that. I don't know.
Wow. Yeah. No, I know it was a big tournament. It goes towards stocking. The money goes towards stocking, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
In one way or another. I mean, we could talk for another half an hour about how money gets spent on stocking. A lot of times you can't directly go buy fish and put them right in the lake. So, but yeah, it goes.
But you can help
one way or another.
Yeah, you can help them with, whether it be buying food or nets or all that exactly. Good stuff. It all comes to the same deal.
Well, and like with my fall outing that you've been a part of, I just take the money for the proceeds from that, and I hand it right over to Ben Olson, who is smarter than me and has his ear to the ground on that kind of stuff. And I just say, hey, you spend that money how you see fit. And then,
then Ben shows up with a new jet ski.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I seen a guy smoking on a jet ski today. I think that's the first time I've ever seen a guy smoke on a jet ski.
Really? I figured in Kentucky, like,
we smoke doing everything down here. Trust me. No, a lot of smokers, big smokers. We are the second most smoking state in the country. Thank God for West Virginia. And
that's not just per capita. That's like
no. We have 23% of the population smoke in Kentucky.
Good. That's impressive, you guys.
It is. West Virginia's 23.5. So,
wow.
So thank God. There you go, Mama.
Smoke them if you got them.
Exactly. Buy your kids cigarettes. That's what we've learned. Buy your children cigarettes. No. Well, good deal. Brad, is there anything you'd like to promote? You got a ton of things going on. You got Mayhem's 10,000 Cast. You got your podcast, Backlash, which is way better than this one. So I would listen to it. If you're wanting to, keep kids out of your garden or something like that, play mine. But, anything going on?
Not really. Just started, like I said, this last week. I was down in Ohio to kick off Mayhem's 10,000 Cast television program going. So it was a good start. We got 12 more episodes to try to film and a bunch of stuff, dates, and likewise to get that thing rolling again for this next season. Yeah, the Backlash podcast, co-host on that, and then check out muskymantackle.com. We appreciate everybody, and definitely if you're looking for blades, we probably got some for you.
I'm sure. Ryan, what about you?
Side note here, I'll promote 10,000 Casts as well. So I hadn't really watched any YouTube Musky stuff for quite a while just because I hate looking at my phone. But we made a little workout area in the basement, and I don't really work out. I just I go down there for like a half an hour, pretend like I am. But no, I watched a lot of those. Those are really well done, Brad. And got to know Chase a little bit, kind of over the winter at some shows and stuff. And yeah, you guys do a great job. So that's definitely worth watching if you guys aren't tuning into that. So, it's good stuff. So,
it's good to watch while you're doing kettlebells.
You're like pretending to. You're kind of just like moving them around, so it sounds like something's happening down there.
Yeah, just trying to keep them from getting the circles that are showing underneath of them and dust.
Yeah, I go like hit some buttons on the exercise bike to make it beep a little bit, like I'm going through the.
Do you have a Peloton?
Chapters.
Do you have a Peloton? Does it Peloton? Do you have?
Do you think I'm a Peloton guy? Those things cost like $5,000, don't they?
I wish you were a Peloton guy. That would make me laugh so fucking hard. No,
it's like it's like a $500 bike. It just pedals.
It just pedals.
Yeah,
you have matching headband.
No, but I do wear like a Lance Armstrong outfit when I get on it.
I just wear a Live Strong bracelet. I figure that's my workout. Just putting the bracelet on. That's what I do. David, what? Oh no, you got something to promote there. Come on, tell them how if they want to go fishing with you. You can't just write your name in urinals and expect everyone to call you. What is it? How can people get a hold of you?
Well, you can get a hold of me or get a hold of David too, because he's top on my list. I would love to get out on the river. That sounds just talking river fishing sounds a little bit more exciting than what I'm going to start my season out doing. But anyhow, if you for some reason want to get a hold of me, the website's TwinCitiesMusky.com with a Y, Musky with a Y. Otherwise, the best is always to call or text at 651-206-8767.
What about your OnlyFans?
That's I can't share that one on
okay.
Here.
I thought that was only fins.
OnlyFans.
Yeah.
David, what's your OnlyFans?
Oh, that's, again, private. It's a kind of a side job thing I've been working on. But
well, you've already got the last name for it. You're going to really disappoint people when they get on there. It's basically it's a home improvement OnlyFans, and they're just going to oh.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, it's just me trying to fix motors and doing a really bad job of it.
That would be me. Brad, could you imagine if people watched me try to fix things? Oh my God. It
used to be you'd go to bed and I'd be working on it half the night and then have to still get up at the same time you did.
Well, that's the way I work on things. Are you kidding me? That's all how I work on stuff. David, how can somebody get a hold of you? Because these other two Nimrods, if they're busy, you're a good number 3.
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, Ryan is far too nice, and at least pretending to work out is better than just not even attempting.
Not far
too
nice. He's partly nice.
Website is davidholmesguiding.com. Still getting pretty booked up, but still have some good availability in June and kind of throughout the summer. But yeah, phone number is 651-269-7644. Call or text works best, but there's definitely a contact form on the website and plenty of pictures and information on there as well.
None of the pictures they're just pictures you grabbed off the internet, right? That's what I do.
No, yeah, they all have stock, kind of written over the top.
Getty image. That's what I use. Yes.
Yep, absolutely. It's just like a picture of a guy holding a spinning reel upside down.
Exactly. You get it. That's what's on. That's on my OnlyFans too. Guys, thanks for coming on. And here at the end, I can always say too, guys, we got it starting the Canadian opener. I'm getting ready to go up to Lake of the Woods. This is my last week in Kentucky. I'm going to be going up to Lake of the Woods. I'll get up there just before opener. And if anybody listening to this, it's probably just my mother, although she quit listening now. She says I cuss too much, and she doesn't like me that much anyway. If anybody wants to come up there, if you're up there for opener and you want to come, we're going to open Jerry's at there at Young's Bay. We're opening the patio on Musky opener. It's going to be called the Musky Lounge, and we're going to have a little party there. If anybody wants to come, it's open to anybody. Just come, drink, and tell some stories. It's going to be on Saturday night. June 15th, which is Musky opener this year. It's the earliest, I guess, Musky opener can be. Just like in Minnesota, it's the first is a Saturday, so it's the earliest it could possibly be. So make sure you guys come over to that. If anybody's up in the Angle, up in that area, we'd love to have you. If you'd want to go fishing, you can always get a hold of me. You can text the text line. I can take care of it. I got a few dates left for the summer. I'm also going to send some emails out about that. But, it should be a lot of fun. Text line again, Lunge and Lures text line, 606-776-6729. Guys, thanks for coming on. It was a pleasure talking to at least two of you. It was nice to talk to all of you. That way no one texts me again and tells me what an asshole I am. Got 3 of those last week. So that went well. I think one was your wife, Ryan.
It's not hard to believe.
I'm pretty sure. All right.
She's the president of the fan club, I believe.
She is. I thought that was Carrie.
Meg and Carrie might need to get together here and coordinate.
Well, don't take your shirt off in public. I learned that's not a good move. Don't do that at hibachi. Woo! That's not a good move. But all right. Well, y'all take care. Good luck this weekend. Guys, send me some pictures, please, of fish. not the other stuff that I randomly get. Fish. I'd love to see it and stuff. And, yeah. You guys take care, and I'll talk to you later.
Thanks,
Sounds good, Greg. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Greg.
Bye.
Yep. Bye.